We are engaging in an unprecedented level of state intervention to combat the COVID-19 crisis. We should ensure that this money is invested smartly and in a manner that future-proofs our country not only for living with COVID-19 today, but living for a post-COVID world. It has been a difficult time for many across this country, and the virus has exposed many of the structural problems across our economy. I believe strongly that we have an opportunity, as President von der Leyen stated today in her State of the Union address, to turn this fragility towards a new vitality. We must pursue a new model of stakeholder engagement and invest smartly in the future development of our country. We need to ensure that regional balance is at the centre of this new social contract, and protecting and building indigenous industries and ensuring that sufficient capital infrastructure is in place is vital to ensuring that the ecosystems of the local economies are sustainable and self-sufficient. I recognise the good work that the Government has done in ensuring that the employee-employer relationship was maintained through the wage subsidy scheme and that grants were given to SMEs to get them through this crisis. However, we must recognise that the pandemic has fundamentally changed the way that some sectors in our economy operate. In my opinion, there has not been enough engagement with these groups to create a roadmap to adapt to this new normal. I have seen first-hand the damage that this pandemic has done to the industries such as the aviation sector. I spoke in the Chamber last week about the need to have clarity about international travel, and I met with representatives of Cork Airport and the Managing Director of the airport and the CEO of Ryanair alongside Deputies Padraig O'Sullivan and Deputies Andres Moynihan. The Government announced that we will be following the European traffic light system for travel coming into place next month and updating our current green list. However, there is a serious need for the Department of Business, Enterprise and Innovation to work with the Department of Transport to implement the outcome of the Task Force on Aviation Recovery report. It clearly states that the need for state intervention within the aviation sector is required. The wage subsidy schemes are redundant if the industry is structurally broken. And 8.9 billion is the estimated GDP contribution of air transport to Ireland. There are 140,000 jobs supported by the aviation sector in Ireland, and 8.7 billion is the estimated GDP contribution. As I've previously mentioned, we really saw what that looked like at our visit to the airport, and I am extremely concerned about that, and I would like to see more engagement from the Department of Transport. That was something that was asked by those attending the meeting, and it's something that I want to feed back here to Dáil Éireann today, to the Minister representing the Department. It's not only those in the financial sector and the IFSC that benefit from the aviation industry. I'm talking about the pilots of Aer Lingus and Ryanair, the cabin crew, the baggage handlers and airport staff. I think it's worth noting that many members of the Aer Lingus cabin crew had been in touch with our office who were very unhappy with their treatment by Aer Lingus, and I hope that that airline will significantly step up with its dialogue with their staff. It's also the countless spin-offs of employment that occurs as a consequence of the well-functioning aviation industry in this country. Reform of the National Development Plan is also required to ensure that this country is match-fit to support businesses. In the lead-up to the budget in October, we must support projects that have a net positive return to the economy. Strategic capital investment is required in a reformed National Development Plan to ensure strong regional growth across the country is done as a consequence of this plan. Without a solid infrastructure base, no jobs can be supported, and that is a simple fact. Over the last week, I have received news of pressing ahead of tendering of 2 major school complexes in my constituency at Carrigtwohill and Mallow. I think these state-led projects are a prime example of ways in which we can help reboot our economy in constituencies such as Cork East, where I am representing. I am also very, very excited about the review of the National Development Plan and the opportunity for the Government to review some of the areas that had been left out of that previous plan that was brought in 2014. For example, I had strong dialogue with the Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, around the need for projects such as the upgrade of the N25 for people living in East Cork and Middleton and Youghal to be included in that plan. And I would like to see greater state expenditure in the areas of transport and infrastructure to ensure that the skilled labourers who are after returning to Ireland and those that are here that are out of work have an opportunity to go back into employment. It's no doubt, I think, that this recession will certainly require massive government support in order to build our way out of it, and I think that should be done through building projects. And look, I just want to finally thank Minister McGrath as well for his engagement. I know that there's going to be some degree of consultation with TDs around the review of the NDP Minister. I think that's going to be exceptionally important to ensure that all of us get a chance to have some input into that process. Deputy